Hello everyone and welcome to Dragonflight Beta. This is the beginning of the beta. We're out of the alpha officially. If you haven't signed up for it, make sure you do. You can do that on the main World of Warcraft webpage. But we're now in the beta. That means that Blizzard is probably pretty comfortable with most of the game being in a ready to release state. And this is where they're going to be doing the fine tuning and honing in on certain issues. We're only probably 2 months away from the release of the game. They're probably looking for a late November, very early December release. So we're expecting a couple more months, 2 more months of development roughly. So we'll have to see how things develop now whilst we have this beta. But I think in general the game's in a pretty good looking shape. Like the alpha seemed pretty fleshed out. Zones were complete, quests were complete, dungeons were complete. Like a lot of the stuff that needs to function on release seems complete. Things like profession tuning needs to happen, class tuning, mob tuning in general, and that kind of stuff needs to happen. But we have a couple months now to do that. So additionally, Feral Druid has had some updates, some changes, and before we kind of get into those, I will mention, so for anybody that doesn't know, the Druid developer that was working on Druid and Priest for, I think, a few years, I think BFA, I could be wrong there, but a couple years, right? They've now left the company, and I think they left maybe 2 months ago, or 3 months ago, something like that, so roughly, based on the timescale, I think. So we're in a situation where they've left. We're assuming somebody new is going to come in to fill both positions. However, and a lot of people are going, yeah, nice, we're going to get a lot of love now as Feral Druid and stuff like that. But I'm kind of saying, right, this is a game, everything should be equal. You'd expect every spec to be equal and everything like that. Not necessarily going to be the case. We know how offices run, right? When somebody quits a job at an office, do they immediately get replaced? Not necessarily, right? And if they do immediately get replaced, are you hiring externally? Are you hiring internally? Are you moving people from different roles, different positions? Is the hunter and shaman developer going to pick up the slack and have to take on one of the druid or priest trees? Is somebody else going to have to pick up priests? How is the work going to get divvied up, right? So when we think of this from a practical sense and how things actually work in an office environment, that if they hire somebody, they're going to have that time to get up to speed. Are you really going to learn 7 different specs and learn how they tick, what makes them tick? Bring in the love, bring in the passion to make those specs really pop? I don't know. I'm hopeful. I'm hoping. But we'll see. But just a little update for you guys on that. Now, getting into the actual content of the video then, let's talk about some of the changes that have come through. I didn't expect changes to happen this week because they just did some stuff for Priest. I expected things to come through next week. However, there's not really been a whole lot that has changed. The class tree is exactly as it was. The Feral Druid tree is in a interesting state where I think it's in a transition state where they've some stuff has maybe been data mined now, but things are probably coming through next week, and that's what I'm expecting. So I would take this tree now with a pinch of salt, a grain of salt. I'm not sure 100 all the stuff is going to be set in stone, but Tiger Fury is giving you more energy now, but I think some of that is based on this talent, Tiger's Fury here, generating an additional 90 energy. So Tiger Fury is going to give you a flat 20, but then you can take this Tiger's Fury talent, which is going to give you an additional 90 energy. So you can get 110 energy restoration, which I can showcase to you guys a little bit here. Quite a few thrashes in AoE that you'll be able to get off, and then bam! Now, if things are dying as well, and you're taking a Predator talent, say in Mythic Plus, or on a boss in Raid where you're getting resets, that'll be pretty significant. Very, very significant. In fact, you're probably going to be global locked now on Feral. If anything, your damage is going to be limited to how quickly you can press your buttons and how quickly the GCD is, rather than having the energy. In some ways, this is good. In some ways, I don't like it. Feral is supposed to be slow, methodical, right? It's not supposed to be a rogue, very fast pace. So I'll see how I like that. I'll see, you know, obviously I've got to play around with it and see. I'm going to be doing that on stream today. Please feel free to drop by. I'm going to be doing a lot of Feral Druid playing today. So come check out the stream, twitch.tv/Cyber_TV, down in the description below. We have that there. Now it's a 3-point node, and I will get into general 3-point node discussion later. But this talent, I imagine it should probably be like Type 3 restores an additional 30 energy and make it a 1-pointer. I think that would be fine. You then also have Tireless Energy here. I'm going to turn this music down a little bit. There we go. You then also have Tireless Energy here that's come in. So maximum energy increased by 90. Haste increased by 2%. Now this doesn't change, right? Haste is always only 2%. I assume that's either bugged and it should be 6% or 5%, right? 2, 3, 4 or 2, 4, 6, depending on how it's going to scale. But the maximum energy increased by 90. Again, I assume this is a 1-point talent. That's going to be 30 energy increase, haste increase by 2%. And I assume that they're going to move away from 3-point talents. And again, I'll get into that later. But right now, this whole energy situation is pretty bonkers. Especially when you consider Omen of Clarity, you consider Predator, you consider Scent of Blood, you consider Savage Roar giving you energy, you consider Cat's Curiosity, right? They've renamed it here. Soul of the Forest giving us energy, Eye of Fearful Symmetry giving us combo points, which is equivalent to 40 energy on a crit or 80 energy on a non-crit. You have a lot of energy options here. Whether you're going to have all of them, well, and you've got Moment of Clarity as well. You can have all of them. I don't know. You've got Incarnation as well, reducing your energy cost of things. So you have so many energy options here, which I do like in a way in which you can maybe pick and choose where you want your energy to come from. But this is overkill right now. I mean, look, I'm at level 60, right? So I have 25 talent points. I'm out of talent points, and I'm only halfway down the tree. So you're obviously not going to... Because I've got 4 3-point nodes. So you'd have to compromise some... Like, in Mythic Plus, you would have to drop that, and you'd probably have to drop some of the... Like, you just... Maybe you take 1 point in each, and then you have to move further down the tree. We'll see. Grab Convoke or something, and then, you know, do something like that. Okay, sure. But it's a little bit messy right now with these 3-point nodes, especially with Taste of Blood and Sudden Ambush being pretty, like, meh. A couple of things that have changed. Well, we don't know what's going to change. We don't know if Build a Berserk is going away. There's actually a bet going on right now in the Druid, like, Theorycraft Discord, where there's conversations about, between a couple people, about whether Build a Berserk is going to get removed and everything condensed into Incarn. So you'd have maybe default Berserk here, and then you take Jungle Stalker and Frenzy, and you'd put that into Incarn, as well as the energy reduction. Now that would be interesting. That would be pretty good, I think. To kind of remove Build a Berserk, and I don't mind if they keep Incarn, but make it, like, quite strong, quite potent with condensing everything into it. I still don't think it would be that strong with Frenzy and Jungle Stalker. I think you'd probably still want Convoke, because Convoke is 1 minute now. Convoke is flat 1 minute, which is amazing. 12 spells over the course of 3 seconds. Now we are losing Nia, so we're not going to get the big mastery gain, but Convoke is still really strong, especially on 1 minute. So Incarn right now, ignore all this text. This text is basically saying any other Berserks that you have will also be included in Incarn, okay? Ignore all that mass text. That doesn't mean anything. Incarn is only going to be energy reduced by 20%, which you would never take it. You'd always take Convoke on a 1 minute. Of course you would. It's not even a discussion. So Incarn definitely needs to be, like, buffed up. So we gotta wait and see next week what things change when this actually properly goes live, and we'll see. Other changes: Infected Wounds now is still terrible, but now Rake damage is increased by 20%, or by 20. It says. I'm assuming 20%. That would actually be pretty good, but at the same time, I don't like the talent. Just increasing an ability's damage by 1% is not necessarily interesting gameplay. So I don't necessarily like this any more than I did. Infected Wounds, if it did something like... Well, I mean, if it slowed enemies on AoE abilities and it was a bigger slow, then cool. Like, if it was like a 50-60% slow on mobs and it was triggered by Thrash or Swipe, like either or, then it would actually be okay. I would prefer it to be Thrash, because then it adds value to things like Scent of Blood and Infected Wounds, Blood Talons. Like, you're wanting to thrash then, more so. Break damage increased by 20. I mean, it's something. I don't necessarily love it, but it's something. So there are a few other changes. There's like some changes that came through in on Wowhead here. There's things like Tiger Fury finishing, Raging Fury finishing moves increases duration by 0.4 seconds per combo point spent of Tiger's Fury. So you'll get 2-second increase on your Tiger Fury every finishing move. Which, if you're in like some kind of where is it? Some kind of window where you've got your improved shred, you've got your jungle stalker. Like, if you have these things on single target, and if you convoke as well, you'll have Tiger's Fury probably extended for a very long time. Like, during your cooldown window, you'll probably be able to get Tiger Fury off cooldown again before you've even exhausted it. Because if you convoke on a single target, you get 4 bites. That's what, 8-second increase. Then with Jungle Stalker and stuff, you can shred bite. So you'll get every 2 globals, you get a 2-second increase, which is basically, you know, every second you're getting a second increase. So it's like, that's probably gonna be pretty good. So that's interesting. Again, yeah, spoken about Tireless Energy, Infected Wounds, Sudden Ambush, still doggo. I don't really know what this listing here is because there's no green text. They're editing Incon again. We gotta wait and see how exactly this is gonna work. This thing's like your melee, Ashamane's Guidance, right? Your melee attacks have a chance to activate Incarnation for 6 seconds. That's not on the tooltip currently, right? That's not here. So, we'll see. There's also a modified crit chance as well. And a damage modifier. So again, but right now the value's on input. So we'll see. It seems like there's gonna be changes to Incon. We'll see exactly what happens. Competing with a 1-minute convoke, it's gotta be pretty good. That's like the majority of a lot of these things. There's improved bleeds. Shred and swipe deal 20% increased damage per bleeding target. I genuinely cannot remember if that was already a thing that existed. I'm pretty sure it did. But we'll see. So generally, then that's like all of the changes really being covered as far as I can see. I'll give you my opinions on some of this stuff. So right now, Feral Druid is suffering from too many 3-point talents. Like, you guys saw the build, right? If you take every 3-point node right now, you can't even get halfway down the tree. So you have a 3-point node here, a 3-point node here, a 3-point node here that you have to take, or, you know, like if you're going down the tree, like you have to take it to proceed. Taste of Blood, another 3-point node that you have to take it to proceed down the tree, right? It's not an optional thing like these two are. So you have 4 3-point nodes here. You then have Build a Berserk, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 talents in order to get a functional Berserk. Remember, we don't have Sickle of the Lion anymore, so your Berserk has to punch. Then you have Adaptive Swarm, which needs 2 additional points to make it useful, specifically in Mythic Plus, which means it's a 3-point node. It's a 3-point node that's been separated into 3 points, like, you know, into 2 talents. It's a 3-point node. In single target, yeah, okay, sure, it's fine. But you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 6 3-point nodes in one of the fewest connected trees available. You have 35 or 36 connections, right? These little arrows where you can actually move through the tree, and everything's very restrictive. If you look at Enhance has 57. And the majority of the tree is 1-point node. In fact, I think everything is 1-point node except for a couple 2-point nodes. Outlaw Rogue, again, is another one with a lot of connections. There are all of these way better trees with way more options in where you want to move around the tree. And also, pretty much everything's a 1-point node. So these things need to go. These things need to be buffed and reduced to a 1-point node. Like a buffed 1-point node example you know, condense down. They just need to go. And the tree needs to be expanded, it needs to be worked on, new things need to come in, some things need to get removed, some things need to be altered. I don't think that our survival instinct should even be here. This should be something that's default, or it should be like here on the tree, right? Like, or here. It should be where Omen of Clarity is, maybe. So you get it like instantly. It's super easy to get, you have to take it. And then make this your survival, or make it baseline, right? Make it baseline for Feral, and make it so that this increases the amount of survival instinct stacks you have by 1. So you have 2 stacks of survival instincts now, like we used to. And then make it a 2-minute cooldown, right? The tree needs a lot of work. I'm hoping, like, this is a good sign that there are things that are changing. Needs a lot more, though. It needs a lot more, Blizzard. Really hope that you're going to be continuing to do some work on this. I don't want to comment on whether or not I'm positive or, like whether I'm hopeful or not, pessimistic or optimistic about Feral in Dragonflight. I am not holding my breath. I am going to just wait and let it unfold. I am not going to give opinions on it in that sense of like, oh, you need to quit this spec, anything like that. Let's see how it plays out. Anyway, this video is getting on way too long. But one thing I did want to kind of cover, and, you know, this is a nice little bonus for you, but one thing I did want to cover is, of course, Owlweaving, okay? How could we not cover Owlweaving, right? We have 190 energy now. Of course we're going to be Owlweaving. Look, okay? Go in, do some buttons. Let's imagine that everything's on cooldown right now. Oh no, guys, everything's on cooldown. Look, I guess I'm going to have to Owlweave big. Oh, okay, that doesn't put me in Moonkin form. That's fine. Sunfire. Do a couple Starfires. Let's see if our energy's full yet. Oh, not quite. Okay. Back into Cat. There we go. Imagine our Tiger Fury still on cooldown. Okay, back into Moonkin. A little Sunfire. Couple Starfires. Do another one, maybe. Why not? Let's do another one. Let's do 3. Back in. Ah! Maybe I could have done another one. So, if you like Owlweaving, then hey, this might just be the spec for you. Alright, I think I made my point. Enjoy, guys. Have a good weekend. See you next week.